Okay, so I wanted to do this really short speech thing that will go from beginning to end the death process in our society, and then how J-Juice will then be implemented. Okay, so I'm going to show you, this is like my whiteboard, because this is going to explain to you the actual death process and the therapy process in our society and how that contributes to the ultimate death process. And then I'm going to show you how then J-Juice can get implemented and what to expect. Because this is really for Bridget and this is really for Kevin if they want to figure out how to explain or create a framework of the book and however they want to speak to their friends and family. Okay? But I will give you some talking points too, Bridget. But I want to kind of just show you how I explain it. And then you can dress it up the way you want to dress it up. So our atmosphere is made up of the periodic tables. Okay, so it's all chemistry and elements. And then the body is made up of biodiversity, which is humans, plants, and animals, are made up of fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And then pain is the indicator of imminent life and imminent death. Okay, so pain is a biochemical triage, and pain is the genesis of healing. It is basically reproduction of a human and reproduction of a cell. That cell generation is pain. Okay, and then what happens is then, so you have life, and now you're dealing with now reproduction, disease, and death, and pain is associated with all of those because the body is trying to live until it can't anymore. And that all has to do within all of your 11 different systems. And this is where you understand the strong body versus a weak body, why some people can be exposed to viruses and have no symptoms, and why others then contract cancer, disease, and chronic illness. And so what happens is that now you have these diseases, okay, that your body is trying to adapt to. So now you have adaptation. Okay, so when you go from like one environment to another, you're bringing in a type of food, you have imbalances, okay, in your fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. Because that's what causes cancer, disease, and chronic illness is imbalances. And then your lifestyle caters to those imbalances. So now you have your body's trying to adapt to these new conditions. Now you have disease and you have mucus, then you have pain, then you have adaptation, disease, mucus, and pain. And then you're applying all these therapies, the wrong chemistry. You're applying, you already have predispositions of past, present, and future. Those are the triggers. And then you're applying the allopathic holistic therapies, the energy therapies and the spiritual therapies and the pills, powder supplements, and biotech. And that creates traumas, okay, which causes even more imbalances in the fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. Now you have cancer, now you have more disease that's compounding it. And then I found out that in hospice, when a person actually dies, when they're dying on their deathbed from cancer, disease, and chronic illness, they're actually dying from a heart attack or a stroke because the blood pressure is lower to such an extent that the heart stops beating. It's not getting the blood and the oxygen and the nutrients to the brain and to the heart. And that's when people die in hospice from cancer and disease. So cancer isn't what kills people. Cancer is just a symptom. Cancer is like your insurance policy letting you know you got to change your freaking ways. But what people die from, is heart disease, sudden cardiac death, and or hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or a stroke, the lack of the blood pumping to the necessary vital organs. Okay? And so this is the lifespan of our society, which is basically a prolonged death trajectory that, yeah, you can have all these accomplishments. You could be an Olympian runner or an Olympian, athlete and have your day in the sun. You can be some, Bill Gates type of dude or a Steve Apple or Steve, Jobs type of dude. But you see them, they are dying from pancreatic cancer. And then when they're in hospice, they have a heart attack or a stroke. because their body is that freaking weak. So disease is just your insurance policy. And it's letting you know you don't have much time left. It's only a matter of time before a sudden cardiac death or a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or a stroke happens. And that's why I've been harping on the whole thing with the Dr. Phil and him demonizing electrolytes, because those will be the necessary components to keep a person alive. When you are missing the vital nutrients and the vital necessary, electrolytes, that's when people don't survive strokes and heart attacks. But he did not anticipate that I would know this shit. So then with the J juice, okay? Then with the J juice, you're getting the cabbage and the kale, water and pink salt that's fermented. So you're getting the fatty acids, amino acids, the prohormones, and the minerals. You're still exposed to an environment. You still have the atmosphere that's going to trigger your hormones and trigger then how your balances or imbalances are going to manifest, because this is your environment and this is biodiversity. This is the human body. So with the J juice, you're going to be bringing in the protocol that is the micro and macro nutrition, the prohormones, the water, the pink salt, which has the electrolytes and the minerals, and it's fermented. So you're getting the acids that are going to break down the food. And then, of course, you might be on prescription drugs or implants. You can still do the protocol with those. Pain is a symptom. Pain is the genesis of healing. You're bringing up the prostaglandin hormone, which aids in the healing process. And then you're on the protocol diet, and then you may get mucus. And mucus is letting you know the barometer of your imbalances and your adaptation. So when you're taking mucus drying up substances like NyQuil or Mucinex, you are actually inhibiting the body's ability to heal. And then you go through the adaptation, the mucus, the reversal of whatever, and then it's called life. Because you can never, ever anticipate how the environment is going to change. So you have this adaptation process where mucus, okay, and maybe you have a little bit of symptoms that then releases the excess. Some foods will have a lot more minerals, a lot more acids, a lot more prohormones than your body is able to handle. And then that's when either you pee a lot, or you blow your nose a lot, or you may be exposed to bacteria or viruses that the body said, okay, that's enough data, that's too much, and you blow your nose a lot more, okay? But that's it. You're not going to be contracting cancer, disease, and chronic illness, or any kind of sudden cardiac, death, or hyper, hypo, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or a stroke, because you have reinforced the heart, the ventricles, the vessels. What else? You have now brought in the necessary nutrients with the electrolytes to power the blood, to break up the fatty deposits from the visceral fat that is collecting around your abdomen, around your heart, around your lungs, around all your vital organs. And with the J juice, you're going to be doing waterfalls. So it's going to be actually releasing the excess. And that's why when you do the waterfalls, it's painful and burning sometimes, because you're releasing excess fatty acid. That's how I was able to lose a lot of my excess weight, was the fact in the beginning when I did the protocol, I was releasing all the excess fatty acids, amino acids and prohormones and even bacteria and some of the virus stuff, the antibodies. And that's why now I have different hair, different skin, different demeanor, different everything, because I brought in the necessary nutrition, dealt with the pain, did not try to hide the pain with aspirin or Tylenol or anything else. I dealt with it. I then, kept on the diet for as much as I could, reintroduced foods in the beginning just to see where I was at. Noticed I had a lot of mucus, which meant that I still had imbalances, stayed away from that food for a minute, kept doing the J juice, kept releasing, kept fixing the weaknesses with the micro and macro nutrition, okay? And balanced out my fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. I still am able to adapt to the changing environment. I still get mucus if there is changes. I always will be adapting to new things, because the environment will always change. You never know what you're going to walk into at any given time, and then your body will adapt to it. And that's called life. And that's the looping of life. Right now, we have people looping in the death process until they then trigger indefinite death. So the whole thing with the J juice is triggering indefinite life. I know this is a lot. Hopefully, Bridget, you can kind of sort of scratch the surface on this, but that at least will give you an idea of how to explain our current death process called life in our society. Don't mind all this crap. I have a little bit of stuff here, but don't mind all this death process called life in our society, and start understanding that, yes, you're going to have to feel pain to prolong your life. And some of you have predispositions. Some of you do have heart issues in your family. Your sister, your brother, your mom, and your dad. Okay? And so you know that's a predisposition. You know that's somewhere that's lurking. Okay? And that's what people die from. They don't die from cancer. They die from heart attacks. Okay? They die from strokes. Even in hospice, your blood pressure drops to such an extent the body isn't pumping blood because it's missing the electrolytes, it's missing the nutrients. So even though you may be a big, robust dude with lots of minerals, you have no idea the condition of your heart and how much fatty acids are clogging up your arteries. And then you start seeing signs. And if you ignore those signs, then you're going to have some kind of event that then you're going to find God. And that's why some people, when they have major life-threatening events, they find God. God is life. Because they don't want to die. Nobody freaking wants to die. They just don't want to die tomorrow. They don't want to die next week. But nobody really wants to die. Okay? But those say, oh, I don't want to live forever. You don't want to die tomorrow. You don't want to die next week. You don't want to die next year. You have too much life to live. And why I talk about this is because some people are living as if they have all this time in the world. And why should you have to die? So anyways, that's how I want you to just kind of, hopefully that makes sense. I'll send you some of these notes, Bridget, where, you know, I'll just send, how am I going to say this? You're just going to have to figure out from these notes how to explain all this. Okay? Because when you think about it, it is a lot. And you really have to be comfortable understanding each of these things individually and then learn how to explain the connections between all of them. That is the key thing, is understanding the connections between the environment, your biochemistry, pain, imminent life, imminent death. Pain is biochemical triage. That's when the body is stealing resources, which is the aging process. And then pain is a genesis of healing. And then we live in a world where we are basically on a very long death process called life, reproduction, disease and death, which is oxymoronic when you think about it. And then you have the 11 different systems with all the different diseases. And then you have adaptation, disease, mucus, pain, adaptation, disease, mucus, pain. It's a looping thing until people have nothing left. And then all the chemistry that you apply to your body, all of the therapies, all the drugs, and the alcohol and all that stuff contributes to then the trauma of the body, creating then more predispositions for then an event that you may or may not survive from. That is essentially our world. Now, let's do something different. Let's deal with the pain and understand it. All right, bye.